Good day, and we appreciate you joining us today as we have a live conversation with Shoshona Greenberg, who lives in Israel and has for her lifetime. So we are very glad that you're with us, and I hope that it will be very informative as to what it's like to live during these times in Israel. So let me introduce Shoshona, and Shoshona, I'm going to ask if you would. She's been a guide for a couple of years, and we are very happy to have you answer some questions for us. Why don't you give us some background on yourself?
Yes. First of all, I would like to say hello and how honored I am and how privileged I am that I'm able to talk to you, Jack, live, and to share with you on live online what is going on. Although we were talking here and there on the phone. My background is that I was born in Poland to Holocaust survivors, arrived to Israel in the age of 6, and ever since I lived in Israel. I graduated the Hebrew University out of Jerusalem, and since 1979 I have been guiding tours, the Christian pilgrims, Jewish federations, families throughout Israel, and that has been my life career. I'm married and I'm a mother of 2 boys that served in the Israeli army. I served in the Israeli army as well. And presently I live in Rehovot, that is sort of halfway between Tel Aviv and Jerusalem, a city that has the Weizmann Institute for Science and the Faculty of Agriculture of the Hebrew University. That is basically my background.
Very, very good.
Let me ask some questions. And what we're trying to do today, we hear all of the pronouncements from our different governments. We hear so much that's said that, but how's the average Israeli feel about it? How do they live during this time? I know I've heard that is this any worse than what you normally go through on a day-by-day basis? And the answer is certainly yes. And I'd like to ask you to answer that. I mean, what's different between things after October 7th and just the normal things that go on? And the feeling is in the States that it's always, Israel is always under pressure, and it's always dangerous. I get that trying to form trips to go is too dangerous to go. So I'd like to take a few minutes for you, Shoshona, and answer how it's different, what it feels like.
Right now, I would say it depends where in Israel you are. We live on a very very tight line of tension, and looking forward to see what is going to happen next. I can tell you that right now, through to the 19th of June 2024, is that we are still trying to understand and to overcome the trauma of October 7th. It's very hard if we want to translate it to a daily routine. It's really hard to make any plans, since we have been fighting in Gaza, fighting the Hamas, trying to eliminate the Hamas. So lately, we don't get many of the missiles over to the center of Israel, let's say, where I live. But the northern part of Israel is being shelled daily by the Hezbollah. So those missiles don't affect us, but it affects the whole country. Understanding that things cannot go back to October 6th. And let me take a moment and clarify what's going on. When the Hamas Nukhba special forces entered and penetrated Israel on the morning of October 7th, they created a massacre, literally a Holocaust, attacking the Israeli villages and farms and kibbutzim near the Gaza Strip, literally conquering that part of the country, holding that part for more than a day in some areas, more even than 2 days, until the Israeli army was able to move them back behind the lines of what was marked to be the border between Israel and the Gaza Strip. As it was obvious looking on television, how vicious and how horrible is that attack. Immediately, the Israeli government instructed to evacuate the Israelis that live near the Lebanese border, knowing that the Hezbollah is there. The Hezbollah is another proxy of the Iranians that has much bigger army, and they have much bigger arsenal of missiles that can reach further away, and they can reach the center of Israel. So they have been evacuated, and the situation right now is that the northern part of Israel is diluted. In some communities that are near the border, everybody was evacuated and they temporarily were placed in hotels or rented apartments. So let's say towns like Metula, Kiryat Shmona, Kibbutz Dan, Kibbutz Iron, Kibbutz Adamid, that settled along the Israeli-Lebanese border are empty from people. You have there some squads that are made out of local people that just protect the place, or they have to maintain the cowshed, the chicken croops, the very, very basic routine of the farm, but they cannot pick up the fruits, they cannot cut the lawns, and the Hezbollah is targeting those empty homes daily, empty houses daily, and actually destroying almost every single building along the border. So right now, what we understand that Hamas has been beaten down and many of its battalions have been dismantled. The job has not been finished yet, but everybody says something has to be done with the north, because those Israelis are not going to return back to live by the fence of the Lebanese border, seeing the Hezbollah on the other side of the fence, because they know how horrible it can be. Okay, I don't see myself on the screen. Can you see me?
Yes.
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 Okay. So this is the situation. Are we going to have any military adventure penetrating into Lebanon? Right now, the Israeli Air Force is, targeting positions and people of the Hezbollah and trying to hit them and to cause them to move away from the border, which didn't happen yet. But there is kind of a stable war that goes on between the two, between Israel and Hezbollah, but there was no infiltration of the Israeli army into Lebanon to fight the Hezbollah. So this is the situation. Are we going to retaliate? Are we going indeed to have a whole military operation in Lebanon after we had sort of did most of the work in Gaza? Till now, the government would tell us, hold on, our main goal is Gaza and Hamas. When we're done with Hamas, we'll deal with the Hezbollah. So the same units, many of the units that fought for 8 months in the Gaza, now they are sort of waiting to see, are they going to be moved to the north, and then they're going to infiltrate and fight the Hezbollah in the north. So that's why I'm saying we don't know what's going on, what will be the decision. We still hope that some political negotiations can make the Hezbollah to move back behind the Litani River, north of the Litani River, that will create kind of a buffer zone, a kind of an area that will be free from their missiles. But many Israelis think that the Hezbollah is not, if Hezbollah is not going to stand up to that kind of agreement if and when it will be completed. So we have those who lived around the Gaza Strip, they have been evacuated to save their lives, those who survived the massacre. And those that were in the north, they directly were not hit, but because of the fear that the Hezbollah can act like the Hamas, they were evacuated. So we have altogether more than 100,000 Israelis that turned to be refugees in their own town, in their own country, and they have no clue what is going to happen. In the south, around the Gaza Strip, there are some plans, temporary. Some kibbutz will move to another kibbutz and the kids can go to their school. But in the north, really everything hangs in the air. So this is by far the situation. Another major issue is we are really in Gaza. We conquered 95% of Gaza. Now what? Who is going to rule in Gaza? Who is going to deal with their daily needs, schools, sewer, administration? Because till now Hamas was doing that, and the intention is that Hamas is not going to gain any power, any government ruling power over Gaza anymore. But since October 7th, Israel did not come up with any other solution who will replace Hamas in running the Gaza Strip. One thing is clear, that Israel has no intention, and Israel doesn't want to occupy Gaza. We want just to make sure that Hamas is not there.
You're making this tape from? Where are you presently at now?
I'm in a room that turned to be like a study, but this room is very special. This room it was built out of heavy concrete and steel to function as a bunker, as a shelter, because in our days we know that the missiles fly very fast and we don't have time to run to the building shelter or to the neighborhood shelter. And since, I think, the 1980s, it has been a new rule that every apartment has to have a safe room to run into. The door that closes the space where I'm right now is made out of heavy metal. It's like a bunker door. And we have a special device that is filtering the air just in case there will be also chemical attack or something that is worse than just explosives.
Okay. I am thinking about it, and having been there several times, it's got to be so effective. Do you sleep in a safe room?
Yes, this room is made that it's possible to sleep in there. Many people turn that to be one of the bedrooms of the children or maybe a study room, but it's safe, yes. In addition to the heavy metal door, to make it more livable and more friendly to the people that use it, we also have a wooden door. So it feels like a room in an apartment, but it turns into like a mini bomb shelter the minute we are attacked and we hear the siren and we know that we have to run very quickly and shut the door and shut the window. The window has a glass window, and it also has like a metal sliding window that we have to close it as well to be protected from the window as well.
So it would be like us remaking all of our homes to where we would have to make a bunker, as you call it, and we would have to change all of our windows and so forth to be as explosive proof as it can. We would have to put shutters over everything. And when you go out, what security do you use? I mean, what do you do when you leave to go get groceries and so forth? Are you armed?
The safe zone of our apartment. We don't do anything, but we have our cell phones, the smartphones, and when a siren is being heard, and we are on the way walking to the supermarket and walking to the clinic of the doctor. So what we have to do, we have to fall on the ground and to put our hands over our heads and wait 10 minutes until the Iron Dome would hit it, and all the shreds that the Iron Dome created by hitting the missile will fall down. That's basically the routine. Yes.
How would you describe? I guess I'm thinking in terms of this is not a normal pressure, and this is something that's. I have been there. When you went into Lebanon in 1981 or 1984, whichever it was, I was there during that time. But yet we had pretty much a normal life. It was not something that was totally switched around. I'm sure you don't have many tourists today, and so how do you make a living? How do you survive?
Well, I don't make a living because I was working. As you know, I'm a tour guide, and I was busy till October 7th, including October 7th. I had clients staying in Jerusalem, excuse me. And although I woke up in the morning and I heard all those missiles coming from Gaza, I said, I'm driving to Jerusalem and I'm going to be with my clients. Our plan was to drive to the Dead Sea and Masada. The missiles don't go there. They don't reach that area. But when I reached Jerusalem, an instruction from the Minister of Tourism came saying that all tourists must stay in the hotels. We are not taking the tourists out of the hotel. So that was it. I stayed in the hotel with my clients just to try to put them in the picture, to explain what's going on. And then the same night they returned back to America. And ever since then, I am not earning a living. I'm not working. Some people that had to quit their work because there were no schools and they had to stay home. They still get their salary. As far as I'm concerned, I got some compensation payment till December, and that's it. The government stopped budgeting any assistance to the tour guides, and so we don't. I mean, we have to manage somehow on our own.
What is the average?
Right.
We're going to run out of time pretty quick here. How does the average Israeli react to the riots and so forth that we've had in the States? The anti-Semitism, really. I looked at a picture last night of a crowd in New York of several thousand. Most of them were not Muslim, or certainly didn't appear to be so.
Right.
So how does the normal Israeli feel like to have his great ally basically cut him off? And we have so many in the streets like this.
Yes, this was really quite shocking to see those demonstrations and to see how much hatred and how much anger and dispute and rage comes out of those demonstrations against Israel. And I think that's really shocking because we were the ones that were attacked. And attacked is not just the right word, okay? The Israelis were actually butchered, burned to death. Families were tied together and burned. What was found in the rooms when the Israeli army finally came in were absolutely burned images, and women were raped. And we don't understand how the whole thing turned to be against Israel. I understand that what you see on television has much more footage of what's happening in Gaza. We don't see that as much. However, it is really very important. People don't understand what Hamas terror organization is all about. They are blended in among the people, among the Palestinians. They have their depots of ammunition in kindergartens, in the bedrooms of the children. In order to fight the Hamas, you have no other choice but to go wherever people live. And in order to minimize the cost of life of the civilians, Israel did tremendous effort to move them out of their homes. It's not fun, it's not a picnic, but it saved their lives. And Israel allowed a corridor for them to head it south where they will be protected. There will be humanitarian aid there will be medical help, everything. And those people really saved their lives. And now when we're in Rafah, we did exactly the same to save lives. We say to them, move away, go to where we designate an area that Israel is not fighting. You know, Israeli army is making everything possible from day one when the Israeli soldier is being drafted to the army. They're being told, you must remember that you are not killing civilians. You have to be very careful. Sometimes we jeopardize the lives of Israeli soldiers just to make sure the civilians were not hurt. And somehow all that has been shifted over as if Israel is creating the crimes. And yeah.
I'm kind of, I don't know, can't answer. I'm flabbergasted that the American people would turn this way. And I do understand a lot of them are Muslims. They're coming out, especially out of the Detroit area up in, and that's heavily populated by Muslims. They even have areas up there that are under Sharia law, which I have no idea how you justify letting them do that. And I don't think the average American senses that hatred in the way that that the Muslims face this. The thing that's different with Hezbollah is they have a direct land connection to Iran. So the stopping of everything that they would need to fight the war is going to be much more difficult. And I think it's very hard for the average American to grasp what this has got to be like, you know, and doing this. Let me ask another question here.
Yes, Jack.
I'm trying to think of how to phrase it without getting into any of the American politics and so forth, because this directly affects our next election. This is, and especially if Hezbollah is drawn into it, which it will be. What message would you send to the American people, the average man? I've been told that I should not watch the news as much, and I do watch the news. I'm a news junkie, as we call it.
Yes,
I don't see how I could be otherwise.
Right.
This has been a country that I've been to almost 20 times. I've lived there for a couple of months, seen it grow, and yet I sense that it's still considered to be by Americans as a third world country. And is it worth the risk of a major war with Iran and probably Russia? Behind the scene has got to be Russia.
Right.
What message, that you can make it real concise, what message would you send to the American people? I know, and I'm not trying to take away and say Americans have been bad, because America's been your best ally. And the ones that I know of love the Israeli people and really want to help them and are desirous of seeing us satisfied in a way that will protect Israel.
Well, I will say, I will say in very short that the ties between the American people and the Israeli people are far deeper than just politics. I know that relationships between countries have to serve the interest of both sides, but my understanding is, through my work, through me meeting people, meeting with Americans, I understand that it's really much, much deeper than just what benefits America is gaining out of Israel. I truly believe that American administration, American people love Israel. and they want to make sure that Israel will be safe. And what happened in the last few months is we see it as there has been a little bit of shifting away between between the heads of America and the head of Israel. The negotiations don't always go very, very smooth. However, we in Israel, we have the true trust that America and Israel have the same goal.
Goals.
America and Israel would like to see progress, would like to see life, would like to see what's better for the world. And we do care about our security, and we need America for making us safe. But I think as America, so is Israel. We are looking how we can make the world better.
I think we leave out one part, Shoshana, and it's a matter of this is a biblical happening here. What we're saying for most of Christians is that this is something that biblically was forecast. We're seeing it happen. We're watching it happen. And I think it should make every American realize how much the freedom that we have and that we must be powerful enough to protect ourselves and our allies. So, Shoshana, I know we're going to be shut off in 30 seconds here. So let me just say, I really have enjoyed speaking to you, and maybe we can work this out to do this again, because there's a lot more that could be covered. So, Shoshana, we send you our love, and to you and to your neighbors and your friends all over Israel, to the Israeli people. We are hopeful that things will be over in a while, but till then, may God keep you safe, and your kids and your husband, and may you enjoy going back to work again. We would love to see that. Thank you very much.
God's willing. And I think it's really a good idea if we can do another session when we can talk about some other elements. Thank you so much for letting me to be a part of this platform of yours. And may God bless America, and may God bless you, Jack. Stay well.
Thank you. Say hello to everybody, and we'll talk to you soon.